Hello and welcome back. First off, I want to show you another shirt that I have. Hopefully you can see this. This is from the Green Country Roller Girls, who are, to my knowledge, the only team from Oklahoma to go to Derby Regionals. And there might be another team, but to my knowledge they're the only ones. And I'd like to thank one particular skater, Little Viach, for getting me this shirt. I'd also like to thank her. She went around and got me talked to a number of roller girls from different teams to get me shirts. So from here on out, I'll be wearing a different shirt every cast. Her name is Little Viach with a V, and I do have a link to her fan page on the links if you're interested in looking her up. I'd like to say I was really impressed with the questions that you all came up for the interview for Rosie. When I was thinking about doing this class, I thought maybe I would just write up an interview and do that for the class, but I'm glad that I didn't, because you all came up with so many great questions. I couldn't have came up with the interview questions that I think are this good. What I've done is I've gone through and I've picked an interview question that I thought would elicit a good response from Rosie, from each of you. There are about 24 questions. There are 24 questions. And what I'm going to do next week is go up probably to her shop, do an interview with her, and put that up on YouTube in sections. It might be 2, maybe 3 sections, but it shouldn't be any more than like 20 minutes, maybe a little over 20 minutes. We'll see. It depends on her answers. And then I'll have that should be up and everything for the last class. So you will all be able to see that. But again, I want to commend you on great questions. I wish that I could ask them all. There's so many questions, but Rosie only has so much time, so I had to pick and choose. But there should be a question from each of you. The next thing we're going to do is read part of this right here. Let me see if we can read that camera. Jam Tales from the World of Roller Derby. And some of you might have this graphic novel with an alternate subtitle. I'm not sure. It should be the same thing. And some of you might have this on an electronic copy, but they should all be very similar except for the titles. It is an interesting graphic novel because it has short vignettes or short stories by roller girls and graphic. So I think most of them, all of them are written by roller girls. Some of them aren't illustrated necessarily by roller girls, but there are a lot of these stories really depart from what we're used to reading Whippet and watching the movie, which were very much in a realist vein. These are very strange. There are a lot of strange things happening. What I would categorize this as speculative fiction, and by that that's a large category which can include science fiction and horror and that sort of thing. But I categorize it as such because of the themes that we've run into so far, at least up to page 90. Themes of time travel and monsters and stuff like that. If I were to make a quick comparison, I would say it was something like roller derby meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but that might be an older reference. It might be a little old, too old of a reference for you guys. What we're going to do is read up to page 90, which sounds like a lot, but this reads very quickly, right? It is a graphic novel. And if you're using a different edition or an online edition, we're reading up to the story called From Geek to Freak to Emergency Room. So not through that story, but up to that story. And what I want you to do is pick, I have the instructions on the discussion board, pick one of the stories up through page 90 and analyze it with all the tools that we have so far. Pick something interesting and give me a substantial post. And keep in mind that since this is a graphic novel, that in your analysis, the details you pull out don't necessarily just have to be textual details. The pictures are just as important as the text and the dialogue in here. So pick out something interesting from one of the stories, analyze it with as much detail as you can find, and like always, respond to 2 other posts. So great job on the questions for Rosie. We're going to start into half of Jam, Tales from the World of Roller Derby, and I think that's it. I will see you guys next time.